The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to holler about anything.
All right, welcome in to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And apparently this is going to be our last day in this time slot, 6 to 8 on Thursdays. Hopefully we can do 4 to 6 on Thursdays leading into South Bend Cubs baseball. We're not sure if that time slot's already been taken or not. I got conflicting things, so we don't know. But hopefully, because it would be pretty cool to lead into South Bend Cubs baseball. That would be very cool. Speaking of the Cubs, later on in the show at 6:40, John Argella will be calling in, and he follows the Cubs in Mesa and everything. He lives in Arizona, right? I'm pretty sure he does.
Yes, he does. He went to most of the spring training games.
Right, so there's no better person to talk to about the Cubs in spring training than him, and he'll call in at 6:40 to talk about how they did in Arizona.
Yeah, you're right. This is our last show in this time slot for now. The first game for the South Bend Cubs is next Thursday. How ideal is that? Yep.
Yeah, of course, next Thursday. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll be able to change it around a little bit, and I mean, that is pretty cool that they're broadcasting apparently every South Bend Cubs game, so that'll be very interesting, too.
It will, and of course, as Ryan said, John Arguello will be calling in, talk about the Cubs at 6:40. However, before that, I think you might as well just start off with the Bulls. I mean,
yeah, we'll talk about the Bulls.
There's really not much to say right
now.
No,
there's not much to talk about. We'll talk about them in the second segment, actually. I wanted to talk about the tournament, and we might actually have time to talk about the Bulls, too. But, yeah, the tournament, the Final Four is set, and it's going to be Oklahoma against Villanova, Big East team. So that'll be.
I can't believe they made it as far as they did.
I know. They usually lose in either the second round or the Sweet 16. So they made it 2 games further this time. And then North Carolina, who's pretty much been the most dominant team in the tournament all year, is going to be facing what we thought would be Virginia, but it's not. It's going to be Syracuse, which shouldn't have even made the tournament. And every time they win a game, I tweet out they shouldn't even be in the tournament, and look at how far they're going. It's kind of ridiculous, but when you have a Hall of Fame coach like that, he can get your players together, and they can do some magic in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something. It's been a great tournament, though. I mean, a lot of really good games, good close games. Yeah. Guys hitting in some big shots at the end. I mean, all these guys are just going out and having fun, and it's really great to see.
Well, and of course, that first day was crazy with all the upsets the first day. No one could have predicted all those upsets. In fact, I think after the first round, there was no perfect bracket on the ESPN Tournament Challenge.
Oh, that wouldn't shock me.
Which has happened a few years in a row now because of all the crazy upsets. Of course, I had Michigan State going all the way, and that ended abruptly on 2 Fridays ago now in the first round, losing to Middle Tennessee. And then Syracuse beat Middle Tennessee by like 20-something. So that just shows you how bad Michigan State was that day. Yeah, it's very interesting. I did get 2 out of the 4 Final Four teams, North Carolina and Oklahoma. I do have them both losing this next game, though. Of course, I have them losing the teams that aren't even in it. This is just my personal bracket. I had Kansas and Michigan State in the final.
Gotta love making brackets.
Yeah, so that's that. And your Final Four was obscure, but it wasn't wrong. But it looked like it might be right for a little bit until the Elite Eight came around.
Oh, you mean when they all started losing?
Yeah, I believe you had Arizona out of the South, right?
Yeah, I had Arizona, Duke, Virginia, and Indiana.
Right. Yeah, the Virginia and Duke thing held on to you for a little bit. Unfortunately,
I really wish I had Syracuse beating Gonzaga.
And you did have Indiana beating Kentucky, which a lot of people did not have,
yep.
And that ended up happening, so that was pretty cool. The coolest thing I had in my bracket was I had Notre Dame going to the Elite Eight, which they did. I was upset, though, how they beat Wisconsin, because Wisconsin had that game in hand, and I like Wisconsin a lot, and they blew that game to Notre Dame. And But I did pick that right, and I had 6 out of the 8 Elite 8 teams correct. But other than that, my champion is gone. So I was like in the 95th percentile on ESPN, which is really good. But it's going to drop horribly these next 2 games because I have no teams that can go any further. So
typical.
Yeah, so it's going to drop. But yeah, again, it's going to be Villanova versus Oklahoma, and it's going to be North Carolina versus Syracuse. And yeah, I think right now when you look at the Final Four, North Carolina has the easiest chance because they're facing the weakest team in Syracuse. And then, of course, Villanova and Oklahoma have a couple huge stars on their team, especially Oklahoma with Buddy Hield. He's probably going to be the National College Player of the Year. It's not going to be Ben Simmons from LSU. It won't be him. I can guarantee you that. It could be Denzel Valentine from Michigan State as well. Those are probably the 2 best.
He's been really good this year.
Yeah, unfortunately his team lost in the first round, so that doesn't help his chances. Right now I'd say it's Oklahoma, and I would say the National Player of the Year is Buddy Hield right now. But that's going to be very interesting to watch, and I'm going to be pulling for Villanova to win the whole thing because they're a Big East team, and I got to see them play live against DePaul earlier in the year. I don't know what DePaul lost by, but it was...
You forgot how much they lost by.
I don't think it was 30, but it was close to 30. It was maybe 26, 27, something like that. So yeah, at least I got to see them play, and yeah, they look really good. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about the tournament. But I did have a story as well that's very interesting, and it's about the NCAA telling South Carolina that they were in the tournament when they weren't, in fact, in the tournament. So that's pretty interesting. So it says, NCAA apologizes to South Carolina for text errantly sent to school. So the NCAA apologized to South Carolina on Thursday for a text. It seems kind of late for an apology.
The
like
tournament's
2
only
weeks ago.
kind of winding down.
Right. On Thursday for a text, it says it was sent to the school on Selection Sunday that erroneously said that the Gamecocks had been selected for the NCAA tournament. So NCAA Vice President of Men's Basketball Championships, Dan Gavitt, released a statement Thursday explaining what happened. He says, I take full responsibility for this clerical error and apologize to Coach Martin, his staff and team, and the entire University of South Carolina community. Unfortunately, during the selections show, a junior men's basketball staff member mistakenly sent a text to the member to a member of the University of South Carolina Athletics Department staff via an app we used for the first time during the 2016 tournament. And the text was supposed to go to all teams, congratulating them for making the tournament. And unfortunately, a text meant for another institution went to South Carolina instead. So they were, I can't imagine the emotions like in that room because, if you're on the bubble, you're usually being filmed during the tournament and, they're all like in a room like at their athletic center or something. Like I can't imagine what would happen when they got a text like saying congratulations. They were all cheering and happy and they probably couldn't believe they made it because they were really on the bubble and then they find out like moments later that it's not true and they're not going to the tournament.
Imagine how furious those people had to be. I mean, I would have been pissed too if that was me.
Especially their coach. Their coach is a hothead, to begin with. Like he yells and screams. He gets lots of technicals. He's a pretty good coach, Frank Martin. He used to be Kansas State's head coach, but he must have been so mad. I can't imagine. He must have been swearing and yelling like crazy.
They probably aren't getting any compensation for the mishap.
No, I believe they were in the NIT, but they've already lost. Speaking of the NIT...
I'm sure they didn't care about the NIT.
No, not at that point when you think you made the tournament and then you didn't. But also, speaking of the NIT, Valparaiso is in the final tonight, the NIT final, the championship game. They're going to be playing... Let me check my score thing here. Oh, yeah, they're actually underway right now. It started at 6 o'clock. They're playing George Washington University. And now DePaul beat George Washington University back in December at Allstate Arena. They beat them by like 21 points, which is pretty crazy. They're a 4 seed in the NIT. Valparaiso is the number 1 seed, or is a number 1 seed, because, of course, there's 4, in the NIT tournament. And, they're down 13-10 right now, but it's just underway. So hopefully Valparaiso can win that. That'd be nice for a local school to win something, which has not happened in a long, long, long time. So that would be nice. But that story, I just thought that was crazy. How do you send a text to the wrong team? And why are you informing them by text anyway?
That's another good point. Like, that's probably worthy of a phone call?
Yeah, because, I mean...
Like, that's like texting someone to break up with them. You just don't... That's not something you should do.
Right. It's not the right way to go about it. But, yeah, I just thought that was very strange and very interesting. But the Final Four is this Saturday. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back and we'll talk about whatever there is to talk about the Bulls. I know they're playing in Houston tonight, and as Ryan said in his update, Taj Gibson is out, and apparently he hurt his ribs, so that's not good because you're not going to be able to do much if you can't move your upper body.
Good luck rebounding with that.
Yeah, good luck with that, right? So we'll take a break, and we'll talk about the Bulls next, and then also coming up soon at 6:40, John Arguello will be talking about the Cubs. So you're listening to the Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.